All right, hello there. I think I'm gonna put off the class meeting. I was looking at this material right here, and I think it goes pretty well. Just taking a look at the PowerPoint. Um, we got about two lectures we got to get through on the courts, and then next week we start on civil liberties. And civil liberties where it's just almost got to be. Or it really helps to be interactive. So I think I'm going to cancel it and put it off by 1 week. I want to do it, and I like the interactive nature of it. But this section right here just kind of taking care of the business. So let's get rolling on it. So we're looking at this thing. So we looked a little bit at Article 3 last time of the Constitution. We said it didn't say much. Then we looked at jurisdiction. Generally speaking, jurisdiction of the federal courts is things that states can't handle. If the state's a party to the case, if an ambassador, if it happens out on the high seas somewhere, if there's a constitutional question. And so now we're looking at the most famous court case in the history of the Supreme Court. It's Marbury versus Madison. So the context of it is, in 1800, John Adams lost to Thomas Jefferson for president. All right, and he was upset about it. So I know what we'll do. No, that's not going to work. I think it's better if I just send this on out to you. All right. So he makes these appointments during the lame duck period. Between the time there's been an election and the next guy's taken office. All right. And so one of those judges was a guy named John Marshall. He went on to become Chief Justice. Another later one was named Marbury, but Jefferson and his Secretary of Madison wouldn't give him the job. All right. So Marbury gets upset, says, I've been appointed by Adams, the outgoing president. He's got the constitutional power to put me on the Supreme Court. I deserve the job. So Marshall's got a problem. If he finds for Marbury, the president's going to disobey him and he's going to look weak. If he finds for Madison and Jefferson, well, then the president's too strong because the president's above the law because, in fact, Adams ought to be able to appoint him to this job. All right, so his solution is that he can't make him give him the job because the law that said he could, the Judiciary Act, is unconstitutional. So in claiming to be weak, he's actually taken power for the Supreme Court. So he's taken the power of judicial review for the Supreme Court. Now, this one's got like one more slide on it. But look what he's doing. He's given the Supreme Court the power of judicial review. The words judicial review don't appear in Article 3 of the Constitution. And he's making the Supreme Court powerful. The judicial branch, a separate and co-equal branch with the other two branches. All right. No review there. So, hey, just tell yourself the story of Marbury versus Madison right quick. All right. Okay, and then we go down to this. All right, so we're talking about getting on the Supreme Court now, and only the Supreme Court's going to be it's the only court mentioned in the Constitution. This is a picture of today's Supreme Court. John Roberts is the Chief Justice. There's 8 associate justices. They serve for, the Constitution says, a term of good behavior, so that could be life. Or it could be until somebody retires. Okay, about 10,000 cases get appealed to the Supreme Court every year. It's got original jurisdiction over a few cases, but 10,000 cases getting appealed to it every year. If 4 of the 9 justices want to hear a case after they've reviewed the case, they issue something called a writ of certiorari. All right, that's certifying that this is an important case. Okay, now in order to, and notice just 4, so that's not many, right? In order for a case to make it to the Supreme Court, it's got to involve a significant constitutional issue, abortion, right to privacy, or be appealed by the government. Now, it's also got to have, there's some other criteria it's got to meet. It's got to be right, meaning it's got to be going on right now. So somebody can't sue the Supreme Court about the decision made in Texas in 1973 or the decision on Brown versus Board of Education made in 1954. It's got to involve people who have something to lose right now. So it's got to be going on right now. It's called right. The people involved in it have to have something to lose. If the government is a party to the case, the Solicitor General argues cases for the government. Okay, let me take a breath. Halfway there. Okay, 3 and 4 here. All right, lawyers submit briefs. So once they've decided to hear a case, the judges want to be experts on the case, when they actually hear it debated. So lawyers give these briefs. These briefs are summaries of the case. They're not actually brief. They're hundreds of pages long. Clerks for the judges do the reading for them and kind of summarize the briefs. Interest groups can file briefs. You got another Latin phrase here. It's called an amicus curiae brief. All right, a criminal case involves somebody who's going to go to jail if they get convicted. So a prosecution and a defense. A civil case is a lawsuit, so that's a plaintiff. There's always a defendant, person getting sued. All right, next you're going to have the oral arguments. Each lawyer gets 30 minutes. So this is like the culmination of their whole career. They're going to argue in front of the Supreme Court. So they've got a 30-minute speech prepared, but they might get interrupted. There's a good chance they're going to get interrupted since the judges have read the briefs and they, kind of know what's going on. All right, judges can then discuss the case among themselves. So then once they've heard the lawyers, judges discuss the case among themselves in conference, and then they vote. Okay, last one here. So we're getting through it quick. I'm going to send a film with it. And so you'll do like a paragraph summary of both the notes and the film. The film's about Clarence Thomas. No, I'm not fit. Dang it. I'm not sending that film. So, all right, I'm just going to finish number 4 here. And then, hey, it's Tuesday night. I'll figure on how to do things between now and the morning. I'll make a decision. All right, so the decision is the side the court supports, and by how much. So like in a 7-2 decision, so it's the score, who's winning, by how much. In a 7-2 decision, the court upheld the death penalty. All right, and then the court has to explain, because, the decision is going to be binding on all other court decisions. So the court explains its decisions with what are called opinions. The majority opinion is the people who are explaining the decision itself. Now, so if it's a 7-2, somebody from that 7 is going to explain why they came to that decision. A dissenting opinion is when the minority explains why they disagree. Now, again, let's look at that 7-2 decision. It might be that 4 people decide it for one reason and 3 for somebody for a different reason. So a concurring opinion would be when somebody agrees with the decision, but they've got a different reason for it. All right, there's also something called a plurality opinion when nobody's got a majority, and so they just explain whichever reason has the most votes. All right, so a decision can be for several different reasons. All right, let me look what this next one. Yeah. Okay. All right, there's that. So that's short and sweet. So I'll just ponder it. Okay, but that's probably 10 minutes or less, isn't it? All right, but that's 4 headings. All right, so we'll just think about it. Hadn't canceled things yet.